Rosa.
Here.
Mary Ann Turner, here. Charlie Masterberty. Andrew Urbanowitz.
Here.
Lynn Skull.
Here.
Robert Kwasnicki. Sorry about that, public.
Okay. In case of an emergency, there's two means of egress. Wow, that is hot tonight, huh? Two means of egress from the council chambers. The first one is to my left, your right, down the stairs, first door down the stairs out into the parking lot. The second one is directly behind you. It's out to the parking lot, take a right and out into the parking lot. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Legal notice, please.
The Enfield Zoning Board of Appeals held public hearings on Monday, January 30th, 2017 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Town Hall at 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. I'm only going to read the second one. ZBA 2016-11-19, 4 Print Shop Road, M2 Realty Holdings LLC, Raymond Millet, owner applicant, map 99, lot 0009, I-1 zone, location approval for an automotive dealership and restoration shop for Enfield Auto Restoration, Inc., continued to February 27, 2017. Information on file at the planning office dated this first day of February. Mary Ann Turner, Secretary, Journal Enquirer, February 2, 2017.
Will the applicant come forward, please?
Same stuff. Roger, this stuff that I've got sitting here on the side, is this the exact same stuff that came in my packet?
Looks like it.
Maybe it fell out of yours? I think I stole your parts.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if the applicant wants to present, but this was last before you, you had several items that you asked for. And you asked for information concerning paint suppression booth. You asked for information concerning the number of parking spaces and that they be delineated on the map. And so maybe the best thing to do is if it would please the commission or the board if the applicant just wants to go over those things that you specifically had questions on first, and then you can go over anything else.
Well, if you'd like, I mean, it's been quite a while since you've come in front of us. If you'd like to just give an overview of the whole project, hitting on those areas that the board has asked you to take care of.
Is this on?
Yes.
Geez, I sound very powerful here. I'm Steve Lukowitz, and this is Ray Millette. Ray is the new owner of Enfield Auto Restoration. It's ES Restorations Incorporated, DBA Enfield Auto Restoration. Effectively, end of October, John Abrahamson retired. He's in his 70s, and Ray has been with Enfield Auto Restoration for around 25 years, manager over 8 years, and elected to purchase the business from John. We are celebrating our 43rd year as an automobile restoration shop that does fine vintage and classic cars. We are not in the business of selling cars. We do restorations that cover classic cars throughout the world. We've delivered cars to Australia. I've got cars in from Ireland, and within domestic United States that get shipped all over. We recently were awarded third place at Pebble Beach on a 1936 Pierce Arrow. Bottom line is we employ 5 employees, 2 part-time employees. We're very proud. We have been in business in Enfield and do a very good job as far as in being a good business in Enfield, a clean business. Ray, during the course of doing his due diligence, went through extensive testing with environmental testing. I submitted in the packet of information here the information from different testing facilities as far as any environmental issues. But when we were here in December, I thought we had a pretty good packet, and there were some very good points that the board brought to our attention here. And we did get a proposal for a fire suppression system from Allstate Equipment. They are ready to start doing the installation once we got approval from the board, and they will get the permits to get the fire suppression in our paint booth area. In the packet, there is a detailed proposal. It was reviewed by the fire marshal, Shaker Pines Fire Marshals, Jay Nolan, was at our facility a number of times, going through, looking at our facility. That was one of the issues. The other issue was the parking. We've got a handicap parking, designated parking area right in front of our building. However, since we only have 5 employees, we're not a retail business. We don't have, people coming in, to buy cars or anything like that. Usually, maybe 1 or 2 customers a month come in to look at the projects of their cars or the state of restoration, and that's about it. So I know they indicated last time was something about 30 parking spaces, and it's based upon the area that we have. That's kind of they really couldn't fit 30 in there, and I don't think it is really that prudent. And we're asking for an appeal by the ZBA to comply with 10 parking spaces, which is more than enough, and 1 handicap parking area. That's one of the things that we'd like to talk about and see if we could get a concession and approval from the board. I think we invited the board, based upon the letter I sent to Rick Rochelli that Ray submitted back on February 3rd. We invited the zoning board to come down to take a look at our operation and see what you would think, because, again, we are a very proud business, and we do a great job. Ray is a great owner and has employed a lot of people there to do the right thing. And what we're trying to do is just simply apply for the DMV Connecticut dealer and repair license so that we could transport cars to and from our location. We have a small F-250 truck, pickup truck, and a trailer. It has DOT approval on it that we use to pick up a car either domestically in Connecticut, or periodically we'll have to go to Massachusetts or New York to pick up a car. But sometimes a lot of cars get delivered to us by the owner, by a professional carrier. We do not park any cars out on our lot. We do not have any cars overnight. It is a secure parking lot area. Ray is in the process of making major improvements as far as security camera systems, because we do have very, very fine vehicles there. I think I've tried to recap as much as we can to give you an idea that we run a very clean and honest business. And the only objective that we have here that we're trying to obtain is to get this Connecticut dealer and repair license with the Department of Motor Vehicles for his truck, and so we could continue the business going forward. But I'll turn it over to Ray if he has anything else to say, but it's pretty much straightforward. We complied to everything that Mr. Rochelli requested us. He sent us something December 20th. I sent a complete dossier of listing of the 12 items in detail, explaining the fire suppression system, where the lines are on the drawing for parking. And the only other consideration that we're asking for is to understand what our business is. Again, we're not a dealership. We're not selling cars. We're not, it's just people, we bring the cars in and they're in our shop in a controlled environment and they're locked up and the cars are moved out by a professional trailer to either the owners throughout the United States or to a museum. And that's what it is. But we've been in business for, again, celebrating 43 years, and we're pretty proud of that and glad to be part of Enfield, town of Enfield. So if there's any questions, you can ask me or ask Ray. He probably knows a little bit more about the cars than I do, but I'm just trying to help him out. But again, I want to thank the board to seeing what we have here, and if there's any questions, I'm sure we could clarify and ask you all your help.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
Can you tell me, I see you're gonna put the fire suppression in your paint booth. Are you putting the fire suppression in the mixing room, in the paint room?
Yes.
Okay, because I see it here, but I read it back here that it didn't say that.
Yes. In the clarifications, the paint booth is been reviewed and submitted by the Mercure Paint Booth. It has different stages on filtration systems, and it is going in both the paint storage and mixing room area. Again, the Fire Marshal, James Nolan, did look at this and review it as well. And he said it's more than capable. It does have exhaust fans, makeup speed pots, and so on that is compliant with OSHA. And again, it will be installed by a professional company. I believe it's all
All phase or something?
right. And they have been in our shop a number of times, taken dimensions, drawings, and it has been incorporated in the site plan that David Palmberg submitted.
The only reason I'm asking is it's not clearly stated in the overview here, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page unless I'm missing it. That's all. We talk about the paint booth, we talk about the storage room, then we talk about the fire suppression equipment, but it doesn't specifically state it's the mixing room, but I do see it on your quote proposal from them.
Yeah, it is on the, and I believe is it on this site plan as well, I believe.
Okay, because it says paint storage booth and mixed storage rooms with exhaust duct coverage, 5460. But that's all, I just want to make sure that that's done.
Mary Ann, that's correct. It is.
then-
It has to be done that way because we're not going to put something in that's going to harm any of our employees, and we're going to do it right. It's going to have a permit. We have had them come down, take a look at it numerous times. So we're going to have a proper system in there, and I'm glad. I'm very glad the board pointed that out to us back in December. I think that was a proper thing to do, and I'm glad we scaled back and looked at that. Thank you.
You want to talk a little bit more about the parking? So I count your plan, it looks like 24, but you got the dumpster on a couple. What are you going for? What do you want?
What we ideally, again, we've got 5 employees, 2 temporary. And ideally, based upon the area that we have, we're asking for 10 spots. 1 would be handicap in front of our building.
Okay, 1 in the front, 7 on the side, few
In
in
the
the back.
back here, right.
So what are you going to do with the rest of the back?
That's going to be, it could be lined as well. That's basically for the employees. Employees park in the back, or we'll put the trailer in the back, or whatever. But usually we'll just have one individual will come in, take a look at his car, and they leave, and that's it. We like to keep the front as cosmetically as clean as possible.
Where the handicap parking
Yes,
is?
that's entirely
Which
right.
is basically how you have it on the plan here.
Yes, the plan, hold on a minute. We want to make sure that when we do the lining with the building, that it does look proper and it's away from the building, so.
Roger, is the rules say they needed 30 spaces?
Oh, what happened was when they were here before, they showed no parking at all.
I understand.
And so when, in our discussions with the gentleman, it was, well, how many do you think you can accommodate on your site? And the number 30 arose. And so when we drafted the proposed conditions of approval that you had at your December meeting, we said no more than 30 spaces.
Okay, what's the number that we need him to
So-
have? Is he,
Well, he's correct, you get one for each employee, so that's 5. But then you have, are all the cars that you're working on inside the building?
Yep,
There's
he already
never any-
answered all that.
There's never any outside?
Nope.
What happens if other people come? So, when he laid it out, he's got 27. I'm a little confused about taking out the handicap in front of the building, because that's
No,
where
no,
it
no,
should be.
no, we will not. The handicap definitely has to be in front of our building, and we will definitely ensure that that is done properly. But you're entirely right. There's no cars that are stored outside the building. When they're all worked on inside, because these are all vintage cars or classic cars that go from 1900 all the way up to 1980s or 70s.
So, just so that both the applicant and the board is aware, so even though you're saying to the board in your narrative that we're only going to have, say, 5 spaces, and let's just say the board approves 5 spaces, they're also signing an application to the state of Connecticut for a used car, for a car dealer's license. And so now you have somebody wanting to buy this and saying, I only got 5 spaces. So, I don't know if it's in you, from a business standpoint, you want to have an approval for a car dealership with 5 spaces. From our standpoint, we were trying to make sure that the board limited you to, so that you didn't have 45 or 50 or 60 cars lined
How
up
many do
there.
you want?
Or some successor does.
Well, the max would be 10 that we would feel
so you
comfortable
got
with.
7 on the side. How many, you want 10 in the back?
Oh, no.
20 in the back?
No, you can't.
I got 17 right now on your plan.
Yeah,
The other thing I would just caution you on, if I could, is that it took you a month to get us this plan with the numbers on here, and I thought there was some urgency, and if you're going to then have to revise this plan, you're going to have to wait until you get a revised plan and then for the secretary to be able to sign it first to sign your state application. So I don't know if this is all asphalt already and you're just talking about striping it, because if that's it, I would recommend to you, if you want to move this thing forward, you just stripe them and no harm, no foul, and you keep the same map and you move it forward.
Okay, yeah.
that's fine. I mean, it is paved. We would like to move this thing forward because it is having an impact on our business right now. I'll be honest with you. We have to get this dealer license.
Right, so you don't want to start and make changes on this just because
No,
it would
sir.
be nice to do.
No, sir, no. We
The
just,
the other aspect, Roger, in our regulations for parking, it has something to do with the size of the building dictates the number of parking spaces. If, we're not here for a variance tonight, so that's really not, they didn't apply for a variance, so I don't want to play with the parking,
No.
because that's not really what the scope of what we're here for tonight.
The only question I would ask, again, if I could, is you mentioned something about parking a trailer back there, and I don't know anything about parking trailers back of your building from anything you've told us to date.
Aren't you talking about your carrier?
Yeah, our car,
Yeah, it's
you're right,
a-
it's a car
And it
trailer.
carries one vehicle?
That's correct, yes.
Right, we're not talking
So it's
about
a
a tractor,
24-foot trailer.
no,
Cor-
right. Which would fit in a parking spot.
Correct,
Right.
yes.
And storage containers that you have on this map?
No, where are they?
There's 2 storage containers
Yeah,
shown here.
Yes,
yes, there is 2 storage containers. That's correct.
Yeah.
They've been there for how many years, Ray?
probably 30 years or so.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And
What's-
what's in them?
Yeah, what's in them?
Well, when a car is taken apart, it becomes a lot bigger, all right? And then, say we take a car apart and we're not gonna use the hood, fenders, and maybe a door. Well, instead of having it in our everyday area, where we're working, we would just store it out there. And so it's out of our way. It's not in plain sight, for anyone coming on the property to get hurt on or anything like that. And both containers are locked, continuously.
Do you have enough room on your property where you would entertain the thought of building a exterior structure, a shed or something? The reason I ask is, right now our zoning doesn't allow you to have containers.
But if he can show that he's had them for 30 years,
But the business is changing hands. So the new owner of the business has not had them for 30 years. You'd be hard pressed to say he's grandfathered in. I understand that the old owner
think
would be
he would be.
grandfathered in.
I think he would be, because I think it would convey when the property conveyed. Whatever nonconformity was there would convey with the rights in the property. So I would think he's fine, and it's not an issue for us.
right. And again,
But if he takes them out, or,
and he can't
yeah.
bring them back, or if
They
he
can't
wants,
be moved, they can't be,
right.
right.
They are where they are.
Exactly.
Are they on the
That's-
ground or are they on wheels?
No, they're propped up on, like pressure-treated lumber.
Right.
Yeah, you're more than
Oh,
welcome
no,
to.
no, they're not on wheels, in answer to your question.
so would we look at those, Roger, if they were, a wooden foundation was built under them, where they're not,
I think you could consider them a structure, and if the structure's been there for 3 years and you haven't told him he can't have it, then he's got a right to keep it. I was more interested in that the fire marshal has reviewed this plan and hasn't commented, but usually the fire marshal likes to be able to drive around the building, but it doesn't look like you can drive around the building with those storage containers there.
Well,
Yeah, well, yes, not necessarily with like a ladder truck or something like that, but in answer to your question, yes, you could actually drive around, but some of it is lawn. But yes, in answer to your question.
Could get a fire lane around it.
You could, yes, yeah.
the fact that the fire marshal's been out there as many times as he has and has not complained, I'm not going to do his job.
Thank you.
In the fire marshal is usually out there once a year for an annual inspection as well.
Roger, did you say that there was I see that they've given us the list back of 1 through 12 items. Did you say that you were leaving me Rick's list somewhere? Did I just miss it?
Packet. There was only 2 or 3 items that were sent. There was an email thing, there's the list, and it's specifically addressed.
Sometimes when a garage facility or repair facility changes hands, a lot of times there'll be soil samples and a health report that's done. Have you guys had anything like that? Do we have the? Do we
Absolutely.
have the copy of what the results were,
Yeah.
or?
Absolutely, Maurice. In the documentation here, it's item number 7. There was a certification from Paul Tanner, Department of Energy and Environmental Remediation. There's a letter there. There's also a copy from the DEP, a referral form. Ray and John, before Ray bought the property, went through extensive testing by DEP. Otherwise, Ray would not have bought this property.
And Roger, you have a copy of that, the DEP reports and stuff? Okay.
Yeah, that was a primary consideration for Ray to buy this. He wanted to have a clean bill of health. Again, we're not a Mako body shop. We are a restoration shop. It's a very fine cars. Some of these cars stay in here for a number of years. These are award-winning cars. You'd be amazed if you saw this operation and the pride of what we do there. It's a clean operation. It really is. It's something that has been around for 43 years. Very proud, very high marks. As a matter of fact, if you get the Go Local magazine, it's going to be in a feature article tomorrow, Wednesday's publication, right, Ray?
Yes.
Yeah, March 1st. It's going to be a feature article about infield auto restoration. So you'll see the players, you'll see the company, you'll see the cars, you'll see the Rolls Royces and the Pierce Arrows and that we restore there, and it's a very, very fine operation. So we're proud of it, and I think that's what you'll see. And again, we welcome you to come down and take a look. If there's any consideration or any question about our operation, what we run, you'll see what we mean. It's a nice company.
I don't have any more questions.
I'm all set.
What are your hours of operation gonna be?
We're there from 6:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday, and then weekends by appointment only.
All right. You said you're not really gonna be selling cars. You said you're not, all of your cars that are being repaired are inside the building, not outside the building?
Correct.
Would you be opposed to us putting limitations on you for that? To the point where we would give a condition that you cannot have vehicles outside your building that you're going to be working on?
We stated that
Right.
clearly, and we
So-
do not
So
do
you'd
that.
be okay with a condition like that? And
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's my understanding, that's what the condition has always been. Yes.
it is something that we have to add to each one. If we miss it, then,
Sure,
things could
yeah.
take off. If
Right,
we don't put
yeah,
it,
yeah.
then you could run wild with it.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's
So-
Yeah,
okay.
I'm fine with that, sure, yeah.
Okay.
We just don't think it's very professional, like, to have mechanics outside working on somebody's car, It really should be all
Well, it
done.
takes away from the cleanliness that you're
It does,
talking
yeah.
about.
Right,
So we're going to limit your operations from 6:30 to 5 p.m., right?
sure, yes.
Because
yeah.
they said that's the hours they want. So you want to put something in the regulation, in their conditions for that, so that
Then
if
just
we
make it
don't, they
6
can just go out there till midnight and work.
Sure, yeah.
You want to do 6 to 6? You
6
want
to
do
6.
6 to 6 is fine.
And I think they need to have Saturday hours, just say till noon, just in case.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
fine.
noon or 1 o'clock, sure, yeah. You never know what the future's
You
gonna bring.
never know.
Right. you-
Right, right,
Don't cut yourself short because
sure, right.
later on you'll be back. Let me know when you're ready for another one.
Good.
All vehicles to be repaired must be parked within the garage.
All vehicles will be stored inside the building,
Yes. Okay.
and this is a second to that?
Nope, as long as
Okay,
you
I
put
got
that,
that
that's
one.
fine. No outside storage is allowed on site. Car parts and things of that nature.
Well, you might want to say with the existing, so the two pre-existing
Right, storage
storage
containers.
trailers.
I just generally meant outside, in the element.
Right, but if you don't specifically
Gotcha.
mention them, then that can be confusing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
No live sales of automobiles will be conducted on the property.
No auctions. It's very possible that someone could buy a car.
Well, he said he doesn't sell them, so,
If you look at our business detail, we put clearly here, we do not sell, display, or store any cars in our parking lot areas. The Connecticut dealer and repair license that we are applying for is used only to transport these vehicles, vintage or classic cars, to and from our customers, museums, residents, or vehicle collection garages.
so if he decides to sell to somebody else who wants to have sales, they can come back and introduce sales at that point, because we would have to change the number of parking and things of that nature that they would want.
So no auctions or car sales.
Correct.
I don't know. I think it's sort of, if he's applying for a dealer's license and we're signing this to go over to motor vehicle to give him a dealer's license, it's going to read kind of funky if we got to write on the form that you can't sell the car.
Yeah, I don't,
Right, I don't think it's,
I'm not sure that you
he
want to
may
do
not
that.
do it at the moment.
Well, what we need to do then is figure out, he's got 7 employees.
I mean, you could say limited sales or something, but I mean.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Well,
That-
that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
If he's got 7 employees and he's got 27 parking spaces, then we limit his number of vehicles for sale on the property to 20.
Well, I mean, basically, you limited it by the number of spaces. That's what we were getting at originally.
have to
But if he's
keep-
got those 17 spaces in back, and he, you know, at some point down the line, they take in another partner, and they say, oh, we can make nice looking cars, and we can sell 3 out here in the back. Would anybody object to that? I don't, you know, if it's a used car, if it's a new car place that or if it's a car sales place and it passes muster every other way, you know, I think we're just unduly restricting them
Well,
myself.
I just think we need to limit the number of sales to the number of parking spaces minus the number of employee parking
That would be,
spaces.
That's fine.
So like I said, if he's got 27 spaces, he's got 7 employees, so he gets a limited number of 20 cars on the lot for sale at one time.
that's very doable.
Because otherwise we run into.
Up to 20.
Up to
Right,
20.
and that won't hurt them with motor vehicles.
Right.
Anything else?
I think that was it. Oh, and then our
Certificate of compliance?
standard ones.
The certificate of compliance is on the one that we drafted for you.
Yep, certificate of compliance.
On the resolution part?
And any changes to the approved site plan must come back before the board.
One question I have is, the way the parking has been laid out here, you know, just looking at it, sometimes you brought up a very good point about the fire and having that amount of spaces around the way it's laid out. The
The only way you make it easier if you got rid of those temporary storage trailers. But the parking doesn't interfere. It's those 2 storage trailers that block the circle. But again, sir, what I'm saying to you is it took you guys a month, with all due respect, to get back to us, and you missed one meeting. So you went almost 60 days to revise the map. So it may not be in your best interest to start making little changes, because you have to have a map that's exactly what you want to do that the secretary of this commission signs.
25? Right, so 27.
paint it the way you guys want, that's fine. That's fine.
Wasn't us, this is your map you submitted to us.
Yep.
All right, any other questions of the board? Anything else you guys would like to add?
I keep coming back to the parking. I do have another map here that has a limited amount, less parking than before, if you wanted to take a look at that.
Sir, that, you can't submit something the night of the meeting. It's a 15-day rule.
I see.
It comes in, it gets circulated to all departments, because we know the fire marshal has signed off on that map. We know every other department has. If you introduce a new map, then the board's got to refer it to me, and I've got to circulate it to everybody. They got to solicit
I understand.
comments, and you're back here at the end of March.
No, we can't, yeah, that's fine.
If you're concerned with the apparatus getting around the building with the parking spots there, you can simply tell people not to park in those parking spots.
That's true. That's
Or put a cone in front of them, or, you know.
That's fine.
You're, like
Roger, you got a
Roger
good
had
point. I
said,
follow you.
you're,
I follow
you're
you.
better off to have them than not have them. Okay, plus it's gonna prolong everything else.
I thank you for
Anyway.
clarifying that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I appreciate your time, and thank
Do I
you
have a
very much
motion
for
to
the
close the public
consideration.
hearing?
So moved.
The hearing is closed. You can have a seat. Any discussion?
I think they've given us exactly what we asked for. I appreciate the fact that they gave me a nice, easy-to-understand packet. They answered every single question that I put in front of them, and I know they did yours. I want to get them back to work.
Absolutely. I think they've done everything we've asked.
Yep.
They've got all the compliances from the fire marshal and everything. They've said yes to all the conditions we've said we were gonna put on.
I'm ready to roll.
I don't see a problem to hold them up any longer.
And I gave the draft resolution to them earlier, and they don't have any issues with those. So if you wanted to, unless there's something on there you don't agree with, if you want to add the ones you discussed to the ones that the staff had, then that would.
So you're saying I
good.
don't need to read this resolution in its entirety?
No, you don't.
Okay.
But you'll have to read the conditions.
Right.
So, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed?
I need to put the condition into the record first?
Well, yeah, I thought you were gonna read.
Well,
the
it's,
resolution.
Right,
you moved, I assume you moved that resolution with the items you already discussed.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
Okay.
the world hears our conditions.
Go ahead.
All vehicles will be stored inside the building, which you reiterated numerous times. The hours will be 6 to 6 on Monday through Friday and 6 to 1 Saturday and closed Sunday. You'll give us a certificate of compliance after the whole thing is ready to done. You're done. No outside storage of cars or parts within the existing use, and you'll use the pre-existing storage containers. And no auctions, and limited your car sales up to 20, and any changes to the site plan must come back to the board.
And the resolution with the conditions was approved 5-0.
I can't wait to come out and see it.
You're all set.
Please do.
I really would.
I'm curious to come out. I've been watching this new one on TV called Slam Restoration.
That's not us.
No, they do some pretty neat things.
Definitely stop down.
Yes.
I think you'll find it very interesting.
Okay.
Let us know when the snacks will be out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
And you said there's an article coming out
Wednesday.
in which, the JI?
No, Gold Local magazine.
Oh, I love that magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll get a copy.
Yeah.
You know
I'll
what
go pick
happened? They had an article in there, it says, in your garage, and they featured a gentleman with a car. And I wrote back, I says, well, you should see what we have in our garage. And the editor came down, and she was like, I can't believe this place, you know? And she was just appalled. She said, I gotta write an article. And this was just about a month and a half
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Wonderful.
And then they did photos, and they wrote the article, so I hope you enjoy it. Please stop down to see us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's
Yeah.
something, I don't think a lot of people realize what this business has been here for 40-some odd years, and what the cars that come in here from Europe and get shipped out. And it's like going back in time when you start seeing a 1920s car, a 1930s car, or 40s Packard or something that comes in, how beautiful they are, you know? So we're proud of it,
Yeah.
and tribute to Ray and his team, because he does a great job, you know?
Well, I'll come down for an autograph once I pick up my copy.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Frank.
Take
Have
care.
a great night.
It's really great to be part of town.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you. Any new business?
No, I just.
Okay. Correspondence, staff reports?
Under staff report, I just, we hope that we've faithfully made the changes that we discussed in December. I know I just got them to you the other day electronically. I give you hard copies tonight. And if we start and work with them and you want to make any further tweaks, we're open to suggestion, but I think we at least got them up and running. That was the board's request, that we review and try to make it a little more clearer to applicants as what their responsibilities are when they apply for a permit. We have or apply for an action before the board. This board takes up 3 different things, so we have a set of instructions for if you're asking for a variance. We have a set of instructions if you're appealing a decision that a zoning official made, and a set of instructions if you're applying for an automobile location approval. These were the things that that Lynn Skull originally took, and put together suggestions from other towns. And then we held that workshop in December, and each member here had suggestions on it. So we got they're in operation now, and we just labeled them for our own purposes in the office 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B. No, A1, A2, B, and C, because to know what to give somebody when they come in. So we give them the A packet or the B packet or the C packet.
The A1.
So the A1 was a general description of.
Oh, got it, never mind.
Yeah. So because as I was proofing them and we were making the changes, each time you looked at it, you thought you already read it, but it was slightly different. And so we finally came up with, we got to call these things something different. So hopefully.
Are we in, are our applications in the same vein as the other two land use boards?
We're actually, I think this board is leading the way on us revising our regulation, our applications and our instructions, and we're going to use some of the things we've learned here and as we revise other things. And we're looking at all of them. For example, the whole issue of how many copies do you get? Each board was something different and whatever. And we're trying to standardize it so we don't
I'm
say
with
to
you.
somebody, give them five sets of maps for this board, but 6 for that board, or what have you. So I think this is a great start, and we'll hope to keep it rolling. And the next thing is to get these up on the website and get that website a little bit more.
The only thing I'd ask
Really
you might
focused.
find easy, since our applications are multiple pages, you need to number them.
Yeah.
So if you want to use your-
as we were printing them off, Mary Ann, after we sent them on Thursday, what did we say in the office?
We need to put page numbers on them.
Right, and I would use your A1, page 1 of.
Yeah.
Okay, so because when I printed them off at home, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
Right.
brilliant minds
I'll
think
take the
alike.
time to read these offline. If I have any questions or thoughts, I'll share them with you later.
Yeah, we should all take time within the next month to go over them, see if there's anything we want to.
Want to make it
changes
easy.
All right, anything else, Roger?
And I had a discussion with board leadership this afternoon. The letter that this board is into that because of variances, and you did a variance, is the secretary actually wrote the letter saying we approve this variance based upon the document of the night of the meeting, which was you all signed. The process I'm used to, but I'm certainly open to the direction of the board, is on a site plan. What happens is we send the staff sends out the letter saying here's your approval, here's what you have to do, and now you have to revise your map accordingly. And then when the map comes back in and and they've satisfied the conditions, at that point in time, we call the secretary, and the secretary signs the map and signs the K7, and which then goes to the state. So, if you want us to have the board involved in the actual letter that goes out, I think if you notice the letter that went out on South Street was like 62 conditions of approval because the board wanted all of them put in there. I'm open to suggestion, but
Speaking as the secretary.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have done it this way since I've been here since '07. Okay,
Right.
I am with you. I am with you on the same thing, that we're open for new ideas. So the only thing I'd ask as the secretary is when you're ready for me to come in, that the document you sent out to them saying you need to do all these things, and that the map that I'm going to sign, somehow there's a check mark that says everything on A was done on B, and now I'll sign it, because I will tell you, I'm gonna look.
Right. Well, what we did, Madam Secretary, for planning and zoning is they asked for the same thing. And so I write a letter to you that says the applicant has fulfilled all of these things in the following way. You then take that letter and compare to whatever so that it's a double check.
Right. And that's all I'm asking,
Yeah.
because never hurts to have an extra set of eyeballs.
Right. No, that
And
works
the
for me.
secretary should never treat the job lackadaisical, because it's really important.
Right.
Okay.
So that's it. We also have 2 sets of minutes there, but you got them late in the week. You got the hard copies tonight, so you may want to read them before you take them up, but we at least got you your minutes.
Okay. Anybody have any objections to holding off till the next meeting to vote on? We get a chance to read them, make sure they're accurate.
Makes sense.
Just makes sense to do that. Anybody have anything?
I just need to know what I'm holding on to.
One set.
Is it the same thing?
Yep.
Looks like the same thing.
Same exact thing.
Killing too many trees, guys. You're killing me. All right, I don't need this.
All right, I've got a few things. One, I'd like to say welcome to our new assistant town planner. I was really hoping Rick would be here tonight. I know Rick's gotten a few phone calls about some problems in town. And him and I spoke, and he was addressing them, but I haven't seen a change in this. You know, we're going back a few weeks now that him and I spoke about him. One is the liquor store up on Route 5. Not the other end, it's the one right by exit 46, with all the banners and posters and everything all over the building and on the cars. And we need to, he said he's spoken with them and sent them a letter. We need to get it taken care of.
I believe what he told me in preparation for tonight is that we're in the 30-day period they have to correct it, but a notice of violation has gone out.
Okay. Trying to remember, there was another one.
Well, if you share this, I will write them in my book. And then you won't need to write.
Then I won't have to remember, right?
No, you won't.
Again, I'll ask about the cars at the mall, because they're not just sitting there, it's being used as a secondary car dealer, because those cars are being rotated. It's not the same cars there all the time. There's cars there today that won't be there tomorrow, but new cars will show up tomorrow, and we need to figure this out. Are they even being taxed on the extra cars that are sitting there? Or is the town losing money having a secondary car dealership sitting there?
Right. Mr. Chairman, when you raised this issue, we inquired of the mall as to what was the conditions of the arrangement between the car dealership and the mall. And they have a temporary lease that runs out the end of March.
Okay.
For the cars at the mall. And then we have asked the automobile dealership to let us know what their intent is. They are on Planning and Zoning Commission's agenda this Thursday night for renovations to that entire site. And one of the
Renovations to what site?
on Leah Honda
Thank you.
on I think it's 2020 Palumba Drive. And the cars originally got there because of zoning enforcement, where over the years they were parking them on the grass area, and they'd even built a road up into it. So when we gave them the notice to get them out of there, they went and put them at the mall. What our understanding was at the time, or maybe it was an assumption, I don't think they actually told us this, we just assumed they were going to the mall because until they work the inventory down. The information you're telling us tonight is they're rotating them in. So they can't sell cars out of theirs, and it would be a storage use of some kind, but they don't have any permits. We brought it up to planning and zoning after this board originally mentioned it, and their feeling was, as an interim use, it was cars being parked in a parking lot, so they weren't too concerned about it. But it is a question that will be asked on Thursday night as part of their public hearing for their approval of the renovations they're doing. Obviously, you can't have a long-term situation where you're rotating cars in and out of there unless it has
Why don't
some
we
sort
just
of
ask
approval.
when they come on Thursday, why don't they just bring a narrative explaining what they've been doing there now?
Well, they have a narrative of what they want to do, but there's nothing.
But it has nothing to do with parking in the
They
mall.
have nothing to. They're saying nothing about parking in the mall.
Right, so
we
why-
have asked. We asked in writing their general managers who referred it to corporate headquarters. We don't have an answer, but we've raised the question.
So at our next month's meeting, I will make a note that you're going to answer, what are you doing with the parking? Storage use?
The cars
rolling-
at the mall.
At the cars at the mall. Okay.
The good news is on the mall, the Party City is filling up 3 vacant retail spots. One is the old Radio Shack, and then there's 2 additional spots that are going through. So people are starting to re-tenant the mall under the new management.
Good news. We had heard some other items, that, that were going in there, so that'd be great. Okay.
There was another one, I can't think of what it was that he had mentioned, but I'll call you if I remember that. But
Yeah.
also, the board has asked numerous times in the last 6 months to get a rundown every month that we meet of the actions. We've not seen that yet. For instance, we bring this stuff to your attention tonight. Next month, we would like to know what course of action was taken with that, or with our approvals or denials. What took place. Because what happens is, if something gets denied, and it was something that was already there, we never get told it was taken down. Nobody ever checks it again. It's there, and as you know, after 3 years, it just becomes a bigger problem. So, again, I'll ask if we can get we were getting it before from the zoning enforcement officer every month. So I know it can be done because we were already receiving it.
Do you do one for the P and Z? Do you do such a document for P and Z?
Yeah, I recall the short answer is we don't do it as specifically as the chairman has suggested, but we recently did what you're asking for, Mr. Chairman, for wetlands, where we went every wetland approval in the last two years and said what the status is, whether it ever got built, whether it's under construction, whether it's going to happen 2 years from now. I'm sensing that's what you're looking for.
Something, I don't want to go back 2 years.
Yeah, a year. I mean, what do you want to?
6 months to a year is fine with me.
All right, we'll give you the past year, everything that you've
Our
done.
secretary's keeping notes now as to what we've talked about tonight.
Right.
Because if she doesn't, we forget to ask the next month or month after, it goes away and we never hear anything about it.
Yeah.
So we really would like to see that report from the zoning enforcement officer every month. We'd like to know,
It doesn't have to be any more than a piece of paper.
right, a single piece of
It's
paper.
like we get from the attorney.
I'll see if I can come up with one that we used to get.
I have no problem, the zoning enforcement report that goes to P and Z, just adding you guys to it and distributing it.
And add our items to that.
Right.
Right.
That's
they're gonna want-
essentially what we've been doing, is just we haven't been giving you the report.
Okay.
Oh, sure, treat us like
Well,
that.
Yeah. You're the last to know, right?
That's right, that's what my husband.
Because otherwise I'll just keep on you about this stuff because I don't ever hear about it.
All right,
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
so moved.